Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something a little different. Not articles, not research papers, but, well, a truly monumental collection of classical poetry.
We are. And our core source today is the Deewan-e-Ghalib, the collection of Ghalib. We're going deep into emotional philosophy.
And when you look at this source, I mean, it's all in the original Urdu and Persian script. It just feels like a historical and artistic powerhouse.
It is.
So our mission today isn't about a line-by-line translation. It's more about mapping the internal universe of one of history's greatest poets, Mirza Ghalib.
Exactly. We're looking for the patterns, the recurring themes, the emotional language that just, shines through, even if you don't know the script.
It's about connecting that formal perfection you can see on the page with the intense, sometimes agonizing emotion he packed inside it.
That's the challenge. And it's what makes him a master.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the man who built this world, Mirza Ghalib.
Well, his name is right there on the title page. He's the architect.
Yeah.
But to get his work, you first have to get the form. The collection is titled Ghazaliyat.
A collection of ghazals.
Right. And this isn't some long narrative story. It's more like a mosaic of perfect, self-contained emotional bursts.
The first thing that really jumps out at you is the visual layout. It's so structured. You can see it's built from these isolated two-line units.
Those are the shurs, the couplets. And the entire power of the ghazal comes from the incredible concentration Ghalib achieves within each share.
What do you mean by concentration?
Well, think about a Western poem, like a sonnet. The whole thing builds one single idea. But in a ghazal, Ghalib makes each two-line share stand almost completely on its own.
So it's a complete thought, a whole moment of feeling in just two lines.
A perfect self-sufficient moment. Which means, and this is the amazing part, you could almost rearrange the couplets in some of his ghazals, and the poem would still work.
It would just have a different emotional flow.
Precisely. It's like a string of individual jewels. They're connected by a thread, the rhyme and meter, but each gem flashes its own color.
And throughout the source, we can see these little star symbols between the poems.
Mm-hmm. Those just mark the end of one ghazal and the start of the next.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of this incredible formalism. He takes the most chaotic human feelings and locks them in this crystal clear structure.
Chaos in a crystal structure. I like that. And speaking of volatile experience, that structure is only half the story.
Right.
As we were going through this, just looking at the text, certain words kept appearing over and over. Huge, heavy concepts that tell you exactly what was on his mind.
Yeah, Ghalib works with a core vocabulary that is just so potent. These words are like emotional tent poles holding up the entire Deewan.
And the foundation, without any doubt, is ish. The letter forms for it. They're everywhere.
Everywhere. But we have to be clear, this is not the light romantic love you see in, a typical love story.
No, it feels much bigger than that.
It is. Ishq is a cosmic passion. It's an overwhelming, all-consuming force. It's the engine that drives the poet, but it's almost always linked to pain. It's a fire you need to live, but it burns you alive.
And that fire rages in the dil, the heart.
The dil, yes. The heart isn't just a metaphor here. It's practically a main character in the poems. And it's always broken or wounded or suffering. It's the battleground for Ish.
So if the heart is the battleground, what's the state of the war?
The permanent state is Gam. Sorrow, grief, deep suffering. For Ghalib, Gam isn't a temporary mood. It's the natural, almost noble state of a sensitive person in a tough world.
So the suffering is elevated. It's not something to escape, but something to experience fully.
You've got it. That's the key.
But all this passion and suffering has to be directed somewhere. It's aimed at the dost.
The dost, which literally means friend, but here it means the beloved. This is a crucial concept.
Okay.
The dost is the object of all this affection. But, and this is the important part, the dost is usually aloof, indifferent, sometimes even cruel.
So, less a real person and more like an unattainable ideal. Or a deity.
Exactly. The agony, the Gam, comes from the fact that the dost is completely indifferent to the poet's all-consuming Ish.
Ah, so that's the cycle. The structure of the relationship guarantees this perpetual suffering.
It does. The tension isn't between two lovers. It's between human devotion and an indifferent universe, personified by the beloved.
It's an incredible masterclass in channeling these extreme internal states into those tight little couplets. But it's not just an internal battle, is it? It seems to play out against a much bigger backdrop.
You're right. If you zoom out from the heart and the beloved, you see Ghalib wrestling with destiny, with mortality, with the cosmos itself.
Yeah, we saw so many references to the sky, Asman, or to fate, Felak.
And they're almost always portrayed as uncaring or even hostile to human desires.
So fate, the Felak, is an active antagonist here.
In a way, yes. He uses it to comment on the injustice of the world, the sense that life is fleeting, that pleasure is temporary, but sorrow is the one thing that's eternal.
So it's not just that the beloved is cruel, it's that the entire universe is designed to crush this kind of pure, intense passion.
And he grounds that entire philosophical despair in a very physical reality.
Which brings us to the word kak.
Kak, dust, earth. He constantly reminds you that all of this passion, all this ish, all this suffering, it all ends in dust.
It's such a powerful contrast. You have the biggest possible human feeling, this cosmic love, and it's ultimately temporary.
While the cosmic indifference that opposes it is eternal, you'd think that would lead to despair, but with Ghalib, it's more like defiance.
Defiance. How so?
The idea is that because life is short and fate is cruel, the intensity of feeling is the only real prize. The defiance is in feeling that deeply, even if it destroys you.
This all leads to how he puts his own personal stamp on this work. I mean, how does he claim ownership of these very structured, traditional poems?
Through the Takalis, his pen name. It's a key part of the ghazal tradition. If you look at the final couplet of many of these poems, he'll weave his own name right into the lines. We see him use Ghalib, or his earlier pen name, Asad.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because he's not just signing his name at the bottom.
Not at all. The final share, which is called the Makta, becomes this self-referential conclusion, a final punchline.
He talks to himself.
Or about himself. He uses his own name to comment on his condition, his suffering, his art. It turns the entire poem into a comment on the act of writing poetry itself.
So he might write a whole poem about heartbreak and then end it with something like, "Oh, Ghalib, why do you even bother?"
Exactly that. Or, Ghalib, what good is your genius if this is your fate? It's incredibly modern in a way. He's suffering, but he's also standing outside himself, documenting the suffering.
It's the ultimate act of control, isn't it? He has no control over fate, the Falak, but he has absolute control over the poem, right down to inserting himself as the final word.
That's a perfect way to put it. And that tension between overwhelming passion and indifferent fate and the poet's own self-aware art is what you see on every single page of this collection.
So what does this all mean when we put everything together?
I think it confirms that Ghalib's poetry is so much more than just beautiful verse. It's a deep philosophical exploration of the human heart grappling with passion and fate.
And his legacy is in that combination of emotional intensity and that perfect formal structure we can see on the page.
Right. Every single element, from the two-line share to the signature Takalis, is designed to compress and elevate the experience of being alive and, well, heartbroken.
He basically synthesized despair and passion into an art form.
And the fact that we're still talking about it centuries later just proves how universal those feelings are. He gave a voice to a pain we all recognize, even if we don't speak the language.
Ghalib himself often talked about how rare it is for people to truly appreciate the depth of suffering or devotion that goes into making art like this. And it makes me wonder, what hidden treasures or profound truths might we be missing in the art all around us just because we lack the key? Or maybe we're just unwilling to engage with the intensity it demands.
That's a great thought to end on. Is the barrier the language, or is it the emotion itself?
Something for all of us to think about. We'll see you next time for The Deep Dive.